Past players, past legends, past legends.
We welcome to the show Ben Warren, past South Adelaide and Norwood player, and of course Norwood Premiership coach in 2014. Benny, quick 2001 to 2010 at South Adelaide, 163 games, 345 goals. Of course, then at Norwood in 12 and 13, 42 games, 69 goals, and leading goal kicker at South just for a casual 6 years in a row, and captain in 2010. Welcome aboard, Benny.
Thanks, gentlemen. How you going?
Very, very good, mate. We'll start back. Where did you start with your juniors, mate? Where did you play when you were a junior?
I'm a Langhorne Creek Hawk, so I grew up out near Wellington on a dairy farm. So Langhorne Creek was the local footy club there, and Dad was a 457-game player at Langhorne Creek. So went out there, and then obviously, was recruited to South Adelaide through the zone.
Through John Griffin. I'm quite, Griff's the best coach that I've closely been involved with, and of course Griff and Greg Anderson travelled out to your illustrious farm, Benny.
They did. Griff was probably was very instrumental in getting me to South Adelaide because without his push, I probably wouldn't have gone. But look, South Adelaide were fantastic for me, and they were into me early, probably when I was about 15 or 16. But my mother doesn't drive; she's visually impaired. So, and being on a dairy farm, it was always going to be difficult to travel from Wellington to Noarlunga. So it never eventuated until I left school, and Griff was a big part of that for sure.
Because you didn't have, so you played under Greg Anderson, Robert Pyman, Gary, of course under John Cale and Clay Sampson. Robert Pyman was the one where you played finals, the only finals appearance in 2006, Benny. So it was a bit of a lean pickings in that sort of regard.
Very tumultuous times. We've only played the one final series. We had Ron Fuller at the end of my career, Gary Cameron, the former Geelong Cat and South Adelaide Panther. I think he took the reins for about 4 or 5 games there at some stage. So
from John Cale,
six coaches, I think it was. So 5 or 6. But it was great to be coached by Jack. I was a Port Adelaide supporter as a kid, so really idolised Jack. And he only lasted 6 games, which was interesting. But we won. I think we won 3 of them and lost the next 3, and then he was gone. So.
Yeah, interesting times there.
Oh, wow.
What's the other favourite memories down at Windy Noarlunga, Benny?
Look, it was just great to play league football. Obviously, I followed the SANFL closely as a kid, and to go and play league football was a great thrill. And to meet a few, obviously, lifelong friends. A few of the guys were at my wedding that were at South Adelaide when I went there, and so it's been a still keeping in contact with Neil Sharp and Jared Wright down there, and a big part of my life, 10 years. So it was obviously disappointing to leave, but obviously turned out pretty good leaving there to go to Norwood.
So you had the year back at Langhorne Creek in 11, and that back at your home club, and of course you're the king of cricket. We'll get to that later at Langhorne Creek. Then of course recruited to Norwood. Go through that one, mate.
Yeah, I had a bit of a hip injury, bursitis in my hip through 2010, and sort of Ron was new to the club, and I think he was keen to. I think he might have said, if you can finish bottom with the players we've got, or we can finish bottom without you, sort of thing in terms of promoting the youth. So, look, I wasn't a highly played player at South Adelaide. I was through the zone, and so, but had a hip problem. Didn't know if it would be fixed in time to play SANFL football, and it wasn't until about 2011 in April that it came good. I went and saw a specialist on numerous occasions and finally got it fixed, and Mark Ross was good enough to give me a call and just throughout the year kept in contact, and then obviously at 29 years of age, look, I wasn't overly keen to play local footy at that time. I still sort of had a little bit left in the tank, but went to Norwood and obviously had the 2 premierships there and had a great time under Bass.
And with that under Bass, did you meet up beforehand and found your footy philosophies were pretty similar, or in that, because you certainly fitted Bass's game plan and you were superb in the back play, going as the +1 quite often when we were in front. It was the defensive game, which Bass's game plan was defensive, but you more than played your role, and you were fantastic in the +1 role as well.
Yeah, I definitely liked what I heard from Nathan for sure. But it was something a little bit different than what I'd heard previously over the years. Most of the coaches were very similar.
Yep.
And even the training sessions. But Nathan was a bit more role specific. And if you're a forward, we do this sort of training, craft, and midfield do that, and defenders do, and really emphasise your role. And so I guess when you're a little bit older too, you're a little bit more understanding about that team orientation. And when you're young, you just want to play the game, don't you? And
Yep.
so to come along there, and we had Brett Zorsey and Kieran McGuinness and James Gallagher and a few older guys that was just good to play with, who were really good guys and obviously very talented footballers, and just to be able to play alongside those guys and fit in really and play your role, as Nathan used to say, was really rewarding. And Nathan used to reward the behaviours that he wanted to see. So if you did some team orientated behaviours, he would always reward that, which was great. And we had a very strong team, no doubt. I think Norwood might have got knocked out in the preliminary final the year before.
Yep.
So they were sort of hungry, and after a grand final loss the year before that, so still well and truly in the window. And to top up with, I think Luke Jericho actually came out of retirement or came back that year maybe, and
from Westies and
from Westies. So so it was a good group of men and Nathan was obviously a wonderful coach, and I just really enjoyed winning. I think I only won 40 games across my 163 at South Adelaide. I think we won 36 or 7 at Norwood when I was there. So it's far more enjoyable when you're winning.
So where did so let's go back to the nickname, mate. Where did that come into play?
Douglas is my middle name, so Duggar.
Oh, okay, just straight from the middle name. Okay, I always wondered that.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, it was a bit boring. You could have livened that up, mate.
What, going back to your time at South Adelaide, was it hard to leave South Adelaide and play at another SNFL club, or you given everything to South and it was time for a change?
No, it was very difficult because you always think, and even players that I speak to now, you potentially might be recruiting to come to other SANFL clubs that they want to be a one club player. And I certainly thought, never in my wildest dreams would I leave South Adelaide. I know, in 07 I wasn't in great form for a while there and played a couple of twos games after. And North Adelaide obviously rang, and Port Adelaide offered me some huge deals, to what I was on, 10 times what I was getting. And, just to be able to, I didn't obviously take the plunge then, but I think when, I could see Ron was clearly wanted to get some, youth into the team and get a few more younger recruits at the club. And all my friends had left, to be honest, at South Adelaide at the end of 2009 when Ron was appointed. Tommy Hartley and, Clay Sampson, the coach, had gone, and a few of those guys. So it certainly wasn't easy, but, you go to Norwood and there was just the most wonderful people there. It was fantastic.
It's safe to say it was one of your best career moves.
Yeah, it was probably more forced, not forced, but it wasn't something you ever envisaged, I guess, to go to another club. But just great to play in front of the crowds on the Friday night there at the parade, and it was just the history. South Adelaide's a very historic club as well, but Norwood, in recent times have probably South haven't won a premiership for 60 years, but still some wonderful people at South Adelaide. But Norwood just obviously got that historic and iconic team.
Were you at South Adelaide when they moved to Noarlunga, where it was pretty open initially?
No, 95 they moved there. I came at the end of 2000, so
Benny, of course, a bit of pride too, kicking 4 in your last game. Like Brett Zorsey winning the Jack Odie in his last game. It was a contribution right to the line, and you certainly could have gone on in 14. There was no doubt about that.
Yeah, no, it was, look, I was certainly at the end of the line for sure, but I think, again, just playing in a very good team, we were, I think we didn't lose a game after round 10 that year in 13, and I guess you never had to really do more than what, you didn't feel like you had to do more than what you needed to do. I think if you just, my role was really a competition role. If I could kick a goal or two a game, set a few up, help the young kids, with Ratio Fantasia, Peter Bampton, who else was up there? Oh, Trent Dumont was in the midfield, so we had quite a youthful. James Ace was in there as well, and so it was just good to play. We had a nice blend of experience and youth, and it was just good fun to be a part of.
Of course, as you said, you're right. I reckon the perfect wording was roles. Like There was Andrew Ashe in the 13 grand final, almost played as a quarterback role to stop the North run transition through the middle, and it was very role Pacific under Bass. There was never any doubt about that.
Yeah, and I think that the art of coaching as well is, if you have your roles, you've got to be able to see which players can play them as well. And I think that's one of Bass's greatest strengths, is he could see what players he wanted to play in those roles. And young James Ashe, I think he came in at 16, and I remember him at the end of 2011 there. We must have been training in the gym, and he's 15 years old. And I thought, oh, there was this little skinny kid, and he was quietly confident. And he said, I've got my eyes on round one. And I thought, he's a bit delusional, this kid. But little did I know that he was going to start in round one and finish 2 years later with 2 premierships, and then off to Brisbane.
Casual, 24 games. 2 premierships, 1 loss. It is an extraordinary
That is a
stat.
statistic that continues not only to come up on this podcast, but
it is bizarre.
It is a good stat.
Yes. And Benny, since finishing up, and then go to how coming about to end up coaching Nord, mate.
Yeah, transitioning into the role.
Yeah, it was all a bit bizarre, bit of a whirlwind, but I think as you saw, Nathan was a step ahead of the sample at the time, and even ahead of some AFL clubs in the way that he coached. Because obviously back then we had AFL players playing in our Norwood team. Matt Thomas, Lewis Stevenson, Brent Renouf, and Pfeiffer, and they're all coming in. Luke Brown, they're playing with us, and they were very complimentary of Nathan's coaching. So I guess the club probably didn't want to take a backward step in terms of hiring someone at the time that maybe didn't understand Nathan's methods, so I guess from that point of view, the club wanted to continue that type of football, which, obviously for whatever reason I was chosen, and it obviously worked out pretty well. We won in 2014. We didn't start overly well, but it was all a bit of it was a fantastic experience, that's for sure. So,
and I thought you added a little bit of attacking flair. Like the second semi and grand finals were both great games of football. Okay, yes, we're biased Norwood way and we won, but geez, they were good footy.
Yeah, I think what people probably don't know, I think after round 8 we averaged 101 points a game. Yeah. Which look, Nathan's teams averaged over 100, but we just certainly screwed the other teams into the ground, really. Yeah. We probably didn't have the quality, without being disrespectful to the 2014 team. But when you take out half a dozen AFL players,
exactly,
you're probably not going to be as strong as the 12 and 13 team. But no, the boys are fantastic in 14. But when you got, Kieran McGuinness and Matthew Panos and Michael Newton, these guys are AFL quality, and they were wonderful, wonderful players. And you saw what Panos did this year in the grand final last year. He's still a star, and they're a great team to coach.
And look, I'll go ahead on a limb. Personally, I don't think Ben received the appropriate support at Norwood, and too many other people got to say who shouldn't have. I'm quite open and honest about that. Probably may have had the odd discussion defending you, Benjamin, at the parade. So I certainly stick to my guns and opinions on that one, mate. So you have still got a supporter here.
Yeah, no, thank you, Will. No, it's all good, mate. It's all good. It's because one of those times where the club we lost a lot of players. People probably don't understand. We lost. I think we lost 12 after 2012, and 13 after 13, and then we lost 7 at 14, and we lose 7 at the end of 15. So it's a lot of players, a lot of quality. You lose up to, I think it was 30 players we lost in 3 or 4 years. So, and we were banned for recruiting for 2014, so it was always going to be up against it. After I thought maybe in 15 we had a lot of injuries, but we probably should have at least finished in the top 3 in 15. And but we missed out by 0.2% behind West Adelaide, and you go to elimination, you get rolled. So then things just started to unravel a bit there, and you lose a few players after that, and. You can't always win, though. I know that.
Exactly.
I must admit I was surprised to see you depart Norwood like that as well. But you moved on since then to be an assistant coach at South and Sturt.
Yeah, Marty Mattner was the coach in Sturt of 2016, my last year at Norwood, and he obviously rang me straight after I left Norwood, and they had a vacant midfield role there, so I was still keen to stay involved somewhere, and So I took that up for 3 years with Martin and Nathan Grimer. And then I was going to have a year off in 2020, but COVID hit, and then I hadn't been back at South really since I left. And Jared Wright rang, and COVID was sort of a bit of an interrupted year, so I didn't go out there till sort of February or whenever it was when they February or March when it was sort of COVID sort of hit. And so I really enjoyed my 2 years at South Adelaide. We made 2 preliminary finals, and we probably should have won one of them, but we didn't. And it would have been good to see the Panthers make a grand final. It's been a pretty long drought for them, unfortunately. And then last year, just took the year off. Just my little fella, he's 9, and my daughter's 11. Well, our daughter's 11, so they're both playing football, cricket, netball, basketball. So life gets busy, and but I have rejoined Sturt.
Yes, you couldn't help yourself, Benny.
Marty, yeah, it was one of those things, mate. It's, what are you doing on a Saturday afternoon, or a Friday night? But no, I really enjoyed Sturt. Like I work in the city. I think it's 5 minutes from my work, so it's just we live at Plympton Park, so it's about a 10-minute round trip. So it's very convenient. Otherwise, I still really enjoy the Panthers, but just a bit far away at the moment for me.
And cricket-wise, at Langhorne Creek, and that cricketer, hard-hitting left-hand batsman, very successful, right-hand medium pacer. Go through your cricket sort of stuff too, Benny.
Yeah, so I've started in the 13s at Langhorne Creek, and I pretty much have played all the way through. I think I had about 5 years off at the end of my sample career, where I was just, recovery and injury and those sort of things sort of got in the way, and wanted to try and maximise my sample career. So, but yes, when I finished playing, I think it must have been 2015, I got back into it when I was coaching Norwood, and we've made the finals. The A grade have made the finals every year since then, and the club's going really well. We've got 4 senior teams for a population of 400, and we've got 4.5 junior teams. So the club's going really well. Really enjoy it.
Didn't Norwood have a pretty solid cricketing side through that period as well that you were at Norwood? There was a few guys that played cricket.
A lot of guys have played.
Yeah, Tim Webber's a district cricketer. We actually have a few of us still play on a Tuesday night for the Kensington Old Man's team in the T20, which Malcolm comes out and supports. And Tim Webber, I'm sure Malcolm's told you about the story on Tuesday night. The game got abandoned, but Tim Webber, Nathan Bassett was obviously a very good player. Scotty Bassett, Robbie Neal played a couple of games last year.
The Norwood boys were playing in a side for Princes, and it was quite funny. It was against Payneham, and I turned up, and Zach Richards called me over. He said, "Malcolm, the scorer knows all of us." I said, "Yeah, Grant Wasley, he's a Norwood man as well, mate." He said, "Half of us are playing under false names." I said, "That's all right. That's not a problem." So it was quite humorous. And
Zacky's a good little left-hander, Zacky.
Yeah, so it was a bit fun. Now, Benny, you're lucky enough team manager-wise. You had the calm, composed Mark Robinson at Norwood. Understand you may have tried to end the career of a cricket team manager.
Roscoe, the great man.
Bastard.
I didn't realise he's taken it to heart. But last year we had we had a game disqualified because a player wasn't registered. So I just thought I'd send Roscoe a text about making sure if everyone's qualified for the finals this year, we don't want to get disqualified, because if anyone can make it happen, it's Roscoe. But we didn't take it too kindly, and he retired.
Wow. I didn't realise the full story there, Benny. Yeah.
Drastic times, cool.
Yeah. It was all tongue in cheek, but I think he was managing about 5 teams, and he didn't take it too kindly, Roscoe. But he's a good man, Roscoe. Enjoy his company.
Yes. You can dog Basford for that one. I didn't get the full story, I admit, so apologies on that one.
Has cricket obviously always been in the blood as well? I mean, obviously excelled at football, but and you've done pretty well at cricket, but something that you continue to love doing? Yeah,
I do. Yeah, no, something that I probably enjoyed cricket more as a kid. But football's more of a team game, and a bit more fun, a bit more bums on seats. People come and watch, and it's a great atmosphere at Langhorne Creek if you've ever been there, and we've got a great little club. But cricket was, always been obviously just watching the Test match now. Aussies are going okay, but my son's into cricket as well. He plays down at the Phantoms, and I was lucky enough to play in the over 40 state team this year in Gosford a few months ago, which was a bit of a thrill.
That's right, you did play that, yeah.
So,
with Jamie Pinelli and that.
Yeah, Jamie's a great man. So didn't know too many players in the squad, but certainly came home with a few friends and a few new friends. So it was good fun.
Which is what sport's all about in the end.
Absolutely.
Who was the best player you played with, mate? At Norwood. We'll say Norwood first.
Oh, it's hard to go past Kieran McGuinness.
Yep.
He was just ability to read the play and defend. And even he was a great, wonderful captain as well. He's very level-headed, and he was a great influence on the group, particularly in 14 when we had Bazorzi and Gags finishing 12. Yeah. But we had, I think, Pfeiffer left and Suckling and all those sort of older guys left. So for him to take over, really take control of the group, really, he was just as much as a coach as I was. I just had the bloody bad news of telling people they couldn't play, when they get axed. But Kieran was a much loved figure in the club and still is.
Very much so.
What about at South Adelaide, mate?
Yeah, we had when I first started, we had a lot of wonderful players. Like a lot of players came over from the AFL back then, and guys that I, idolised, Phil Merton and Simon Crawshay were both Hawthorn players. I was a Hawthorn man, so Clay Sampson was a Premiership Crow. It was a whole host of players at the Panthers. A lot of talent. Chris Hall was probably one of the better ones. He was a Port Power rookie there, but he was a South Adelaide junior, left footer.
Yep.
So. Yeah, I would say probably Chris at this stage, yeah.
And did you have any aspirations of playing AFL?
Oh, I certainly did when I was younger, but in those days, like if you didn't make it at 18, your career was to go to the AFL was about 0.04%. I reckon it would have been back then, but now it's been a lot more. There's a lot more options, and the recruiters are more open. But look, I probably wasn't quite good enough. But I did train with Port Adelaide at the end of 2001 for about 8 weeks there, and Nick Jackman actually took the spot. It was a good mate of mine at the Panthers and also Norwood.
Yep. Yes, that's
and
right. Yeah,
dentist.
The dentist. Yep.
Yep. I think he got a new dentist.
On the parade. Yep.
On the parade there, Beulah. So, and then Scotty Borlace, I think, trained there. He got on the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was myself. So I was the one that didn't obviously get a spot, but Scott and Nick got one. Yeah, got a spot each.
Benny, overall, just a huge contribution to the game overall at Pantherland, and then, of course, at the parade. Great, massive respect, and I'm sure we will catch up to probably next Tuesday night, mate.
Sounds good, man. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thanks, Benny.
Thank you very much, Benny, for joining us.
See you, mate. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Benny.